It's trash picked computer time, and I picked up this very shiny, although dirty, Acer a little while back, and it came with no hard drive, no memory. I do have a battery, although I'm not sure. I might have a hard drive caddy for it, and trying to power it up, it doesn't really do anything, but I haven't tried sticking RAM into it, so that might be part of a problem. But I think the main problem that got this computer discarded is that the DC plug has, well, it's recessed into the case a bit and doesn't make a proper connection no matter how hard you try. So I think it might just be a question of resoldering or getting a new plug or repairing the plug retention plastic inside. And I was actually quite a bit surprised when I first opened this thing up, if I could manage it one-handed. Guess not. To see a Windows 7 logo on it, and this is a fairly modern machine actually, all glossy and horrible and with a horrible chiclet keyboard. Although the specs aren't really too amazing despite of that. It came with 4 gigs of memory that I didn't get, and some half-decent AMD processor. Anyway, I'm gonna take the motherboard out of this thing, well, the case at least, and see if maybe it's just the DC plug, because this could be a very decent computer for any relative or person who happens to need a computer. Let's go. And my technique for keeping everything in check when I'm disassembling and working with laptops is to have 2 of these little boxes, one for the bottom side of the laptop, and one for the top side of the laptop, and I just map them out, hinge side to hinge side, and use the little sortiment thing in there to just map out where the screws go, because I don't require really perfect accuracy, because it's very easy general to figure out which screw is supposed to go where, and I just put the screws in accordingly. And when you've got the screws at the bottom and when you've violenced your way under the keyboard and taken out all the screws you see there, and undone all the connections, which I forgot, it's mostly just a question of using a spudger to crack your way inside. I don't particularly fancy working on laptops, but it's a real shame just letting them rot, so I try and fix them whenever I can. These cheap consumer laptops tend to just be assembled with snap locks for the most part, to just spudger your way around until they fall apart. You'd be surprised to know how much violence you usually have to use in order to get inside. You'd think that a laptop is assembled like some kind of sensitive device, but it's really not. And there's the motherboard, and now a DC plug, and that looks actually quite alright. Weird how this thing isn't doing anything. Although it's just a clamped connection over there, so there could be something wrong with that. Well, time to troubleshoot. Gotta find some RAM for it. It ain't DDR2 desktop RAM, could be DDR3. Always handy to have a bunch of RAM lying around. You never know when you're gonna need it. Alright, so let's get this thing hooked up again and see if it does anything. Should be that plug. Does something. Oh, did more things when I click the power button. Doesn't seem to want to do anything, but I do have a history of having this monitor on the wrong source. Oh no, it died. It seems I might have been correct in my assumption about the DC jack on this thing, because probing around here doesn't yield much of a result. Yeah, looks like we're not getting power. And just to be sure, we do have power in there, so a DC plug is shot. Yeah, no question about that. Wiggling it around and stuff kind of brings power to the board, so I'm going to try and just put a dab of solder into this jack and see if that helps, and if it does, well, if I can get it good, I'll just keep this soldered jack on and see how long it runs, or I'll just do it properly and order a new jack on eBay, which will take half a year to get here. Anyway, let's get the iron warmed up. The reason I'm doing this on my lap rather than on the bench is because I have a MacBook here which I got for free a while ago because the optical drive was shot in it, and it's running a screen calibration with my Spider 4, and it seems this display is very susceptible to interference from external light, and I just threw a pair of pants on it in order to, well, not get so much interference, but yeah, it's kind of hard to do other stuff on the bench at the same time. And there you can see how I've soldered the actual pin of the plug to the solder connection on it, because they seem to have separated there and caused some sparking and arcing, and finally just broken connection because there was so much dirt in there. So with that soldered back, soldered because it was before, let's see if this thing will boot. Right, here we go. No, doesn't seem to be a very good connection after all. Maybe good enough to get it started this time. Right. Nope. Right, I redid the solder joint on the actual plug, and it measures okay with the ohm meter now, so let's give it another go with the internal monitor this time. Seems pretty dead. We still have a bad connection. How annoying. Right, now I've actually soldered a 19-volt connection on, well, cable onto the underside of a plug, so if this doesn't work, then we're probably looking at more than just a power delivery problem. So let's plug this thing in and see what happens. Without my conductive clothes all over it. Got blue LEDs. Yeah, this is probably more than just a power delivery problem, because the screen should light up now. Next standard practice, reflaying the North Bridge. I've had problems with quite a few of these AMD North Bridges, so let's hope for this. I've also replaced the CPU just in case. Alright, I freed a little bit of space on the bench, so let's see if it'll work now. Kind of skeptical, but hey, who knows? Come on. No, this thing doesn't seem to want to go. I doubt there's anything on the external monitor, but it was worth a shot. Nope. What a troublesome machine. I've checked all the voltages. It does have RAM voltage, it has V-core. The RTC battery is good. Well, sadly, I think this motherboard is just a no-go. I've changed the RAM around a bit. I've checked all the voltages that I know of for the north and south bridges and the CPU and the RAM and a bit of stuff like that. And it seems to be starting up as in the CPU gets going, it gets a bit warm and it initializes the fan controller and everything, but we just get no video. So I'd wager this thing has a bad North Bridge, and trying to replace that thing is just not worth it. So I think this thing is going to go to the scrap heap. Just gonna salvage all the spare parts I can, put them in the parts bin for laptops, and that's that. At least it's got a nice new panel and a webcam and fairly fresh hinge assembly, so could get some use out of that if I get a similar model in sometime. So yeah, bit of a shame. Looks so positive when we only had the bad DC plug in the beginning, so I had high hopes for this. Oh well, and for those who are wondering, yes, the MacBook finally got its screen calibrated on the third try, and yeah, this is a very worn down old CFL panel. You can see it on the calibration curves here. It's set to 6500K, which is fairly bluish, and worn down CFL backlit screens tend to get very red greenish, and you can see how it's had to gain up the blue in relation to the red and green. So this CFL is very worn out, and it's not very bright at all. You It's essentially as bright as my other monitors there, which are set to a very low brightness generally. It's not even as bright as them. So I might end up replacing the screen assembler in this thing sometime. If I actually keep it, I'm kind of torn. It's a nice-ish machine, but it's got some stupid Apple ideas, like not having a delete key, not having a right click button, and having these function keys down here all screwed up. So yeah, but that's something for another time. Gotta give this machine a try first. Yeah. So this thing's a gunner. Cheerio. Let's pop this thing. Number 2, I've got a 40 Hz sine wave on the input and the amplifier set to maximum volume.